Hey, it's Ben Weiss, ZOAR Fitness, and this is the name game. Workout number 37 is silver collar snatch. For time, it is 10 snatches, 8 snatches, 6 snatches, 4 snatches, and 2 snatches. But you have an ascending amount of weight on the bar each time. The male bars will go 10 at 135, 8 at 165, 6 at 185, 4 at 205, 2 at 225. Female bars, 10 at 95, 8 at 115, 6 at 125, 4 at 145, or 2 at 155. Now, if you're saying, wow, those last 2 bars or 3 bars or whatever are all above my max, then you won't be using those weights, right? What I want you to do is if the weight that's written there is less than the percentage that is prescribed next to it, you're going to scale to that percentage of your 1 rep max. So for example, if 85% of my snatch is 195, then I'm gonna scale that 4th bar to 85%, right? Rather than doing that 205. And when you round, I want you to round to the nearest 5-pound increment or 2 kilo increment. So let's get into standards. There's only one movement, it's a snatch, and you can snatch with any method that you want. You can power, you can squat, you can split, whatever you would prefer to do, or a mixture between all of them. Getting a little bit into strategy, I would say, likely for a lot of people, unless you're really strong, you can power your entire way through the ladder, through the 225 to 155. Or if you're someone who just powers more than you squat, you probably want to squat 1 bar before you actually are forced to squat. So I will use myself as an example. 225 is maybe like 90% for me or something. So pretty heavy, where I'm not just gonna, especially after I've done 28 other snatches, I'm not just gonna be able to rip that off the floor and hit 2 power cleans at what would be like basically 100% of my power snatch, at what would be 100% of my power snatch. So rather than trying to power those 2 bars or those 2 reps at 225, what I'm probably gonna do is transition from power snatching at maybe 185 to squat snatching at 205, the second to last bar, so that I'm feeling good and the movement's sort of ingrained when I actually go to that last bar where I would have been forced to and I didn't have an option to, go into an actual squat snatch. So again, that would be my recommendation, unless you're someone who's very comfortable switching between those 2 movements under fatigue and you're consistent with it, which is honestly not a lot of people. But if you are in that situation, then by all means, power the very up to your capacity and then start to squat after that. If you're someone who feels very comfortable doing a squat snatch the entire way through, I would probably say don't do that at the very early bars, but if you feel like that's helpful and you have confidence and better positions when you do that, then by all means do that a little bit earlier. This is kind of written in a way where you can just continue to add weight on. I want you to change your own weight. That's one of the things that is important here. So use the same bar the entire time, and basically you're gonna be slapping for example, for the males, they're gonna be putting on 15s and then just 10s and 10s and 10s, right? And then they're done. So I kind of plan this out in a way that the jumps would be very even and easy if you're using those weights. For a lot of people, they're gonna be basing this off of the percentages. So you have to have the changes down kind of in your mind before this. But also you can kind of use those weight changes as rest if you plan that out correctly, right? So you can be maybe a little bit more aggressive in doing quicker singles in the first bar or 2 to make sure that you can kind of catch your breath when you're actually changing your weight. So that is something that I would actually do that. So the actual pacing strategy in terms of how you're moving through this, I'm gonna pretend someone is either using the percentages or that their max is very close to 95% or maybe a little bit under that for that last bar. So in other words, that this ladder is pretty heavy for whoever's I'm talking to right now. If I have someone and their max is 275 or like 185 for males and females, then they can just power the entire way through this, and they can really have their, basically do quick singles the entire way through with sort of moderate, using those weight changes as rest, and be able to hit that really quickly with a quick turnover. But the elites will probably know their capacity. For everybody else, you want to think about how consistent am I at these heavier weights? So at 95% when I'm at that last barbell, how consistent am I able to actually hit my positions in my pool and be able to get into a good overhead squat catch position and be able to stand that up? And how often do my positions break down? If I'm really fatigued, how does that go? I just want you to start to think through that process based on past experiences. And then based on that, then start to formulate a strategy, right? So if you're someone who's like, yeah, like that's really heavy, but I'm pretty darn good at hitting heavy weights with a pretty short turnaround in workouts like that. Like my battery's pretty good. Then certainly I would say you can go a little bit more aggressive in the early part of the workout, knowing that you can probably be pretty consistent, and maybe you'll have a miss at a heavy barbell, but it's not going to really throw you off. Versus someone else, if they miss once at 95%, it gets in their head, they miss 3 more times, all of a sudden they spent 2 or 3 minutes resting, just trying to wait to actually be able to actually hit that bar again. Obviously that's not how you're gonna get your best score. So I would say you're probably better off being a little bit more conservative and trying to not miss any of the bars the entire way through. Or worst case scenario is you miss 1 or 2, but then hit it afterwards because you don't have so much accumulated fatigue. My goal for everyone is to finish this workout, whether you've used your percentages or just the RX weights. The cap, you should be okay. It is, not super tight. And again, volume in this workout is 30 snatches, all at 135.95 or more. So stuff to think about as you formulate a strategy. Besides that, I don't think it's a whole lot of planning that's really needs to go into this workout. If you're someone who's just watching this on YouTube, you can get a free trial of Pro and the protocol if you go to zoarfitness.com/pro-trial. With Pro, you not only get access to the protocol, but you also get access to the program Vault and Pro articles, where I go over things like cycle speeds for CrossFit Open movements. I break down previous gains programming. I'm going to actually be doing one on the Masters programming very shortly here. A lot of cool stuff like that. I do a lot of data analysis, talk about training, all that stuff. So if that's cool to you, be sure to check that out. And for everybody else, best of luck on Silver Collar Snatch.